So my next guest argues that in Washington and in Hollywood, as we have seen, the principle is, as he writes today, a sad matter of timing. Here now is George Washington law professor Jonathan Turley. Jonathan, it's always great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
You wrote this. Many in Washington put their ethics on layaway during the Clinton presidency, and that bill is suddenly due. And you also said this. Public figures often accept blame or cast blame when it no longer threatens personal costs for them to do so. The key is to suspend your belief in victims until your believing is beneficial. Wow.
Well, unfortunately, it's true about Washington. Washington has one great specialty, and that's managing scandal. They are the world's experts at it. They find ways of sending things to things, for example, ethics committees, to try to kick this can down the road until the public loses interest, or at least their anger subsides. But you know there's something wrong when so many politicians in Washington are standing on principle. You know they've run out of any alternative. And so, you know, what we're seeing now are that a lot of these members really are facing a situation where the bill has come due. You know, members who say they're absolutely aghast that there was settlements for people like Conyers, you know, the public has got to really stop being such chumps. You know, this was a system designed to keep these types of settlements and allegations secret. And if members are expressing disbelief and anger now, it's not very convincing.
You know, you also talk about the hypocrisy on the part of some Clinton supporters who now are sort of seeing the light, which you point out is politically advantageous for them at the moment. And Felipe Ibanez, who worked very closely with Hillary Clinton for a long time, tweeted in response to Kristen Gillibrand after she came out and said that Bill Clinton should have stepped down after the Monica Lewinsky scandal. He said to her, you know, for more than 20 years, she, quote, took the Clintons' endorsements, money, and seat. Hypocrite, he calls her.
Well, I particularly loved that moment because I call it in the column transactional ethics. That is,
that's a great term, by the way.
You know, you don't really focus on the underlying wrongdoing. You focus on the fact that once bought, you're supposed to stay bought. Yeah. And that in Washington constitutes an ethical principle.
You know, I want to ask you this, because what's being put out there by people like Roy Moore tonight, and the president talked about this a little bit too, is that the same thing can sometimes be true on the accuser's side. What is your thought on that?
Well, look, I don't agree with the president's statement today. It was devoid of any moral foundation. I think that the allegations against Roy Moore are very compelling. These women do not appear to be the types you go to for hit pieces. They're Republican voters largely. Many are Trump voters. But their allegations are quite credible. Now, you can't just simply say, well, he denies it, because if that was the case, then all of the people that have been trying to hold Bill Clinton accountable would have to say, well, he gets the benefit of the doubt as well as long as he denies it. That's not the standard. The standard for adults is to look at the allegations and decide if they're credible.
So you think he's being overly pragmatic here, and that he's sacrificing his ethics in order to save the seat?
I think he is. I mean, the governor of Alabama said she believes these women, but she's still going to vote for Roy Moore.
So did Ivanka Trump, by the way. I mean, she didn't say she was going to vote for Roy Moore, but she said that she saw no reason not to believe these women, his daughter.
Right. And so, but the governor of Alabama said, but you know, he'll be good for the Supreme Court. Yes. Well, if you believe these women, this guy was on a watch list for the mall. I mean, if the allegations are true, I don't see how you can morally cast that vote. But at the end of the day, the Alabama voters have to decide. But to pretend that a simple denial means that these are less than credible allegations, I think is a bit fanciful.
Sadly, we live in a world of transactional ethics, especially when it comes to politics. I'm going to get that put on a T-shirt. Jonathan Turley, thank you. Good to see you as
Thanks,
always.
Martha.